Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Cashflow Digital, where we've got Mike and Big Bad B-Rad below.
The hat.
Check out ODYS if you're interested.
Check out the hat.
No, yeah, with the hat. ODYS, £100 sign-up bonus. And then you can check out that.
Yeah, I got this actually custom made, dude. I got this Otis hat custom made, bro.
Otis hat custom made.
Sorry, I had the stream up. I was talking to us.
We'll just give it a few minutes while Fred...
Did you delete my other comment, or did Facebook, or did YouTube delete my other comment?
YouTube must have, man.
Those dirty whores. Sorry, YouTube.
What was it? Swear words and stuff like that. Insult.
Nah, it was a link.
What
it
is
was the link?
In fact, you know what? That's me that's put that in the settings on my YouTube channel. I don't let other people post links.
That's not good. Hey, look at that last comment that just came through. Someone's a jackass. Right, May? I know who that is. Dude, the team just started deciding to message every message in the world on this campaign, and now I need to close my messaging or I'm going to be distracted the whole time. You were promised Steam, and now you have Steam. Look at Scott's. Look at Scottman up there and Brad. Look at Brad's gun show. See? Steam, baby.
I'm chilling on the couch, too. You want to talk about Steam. Here you go. All right, this is the last thing you see before you pass out, Mike.
That is every single night, baby. Every single night. What's up, Lewis? What's up, Carl? I'm going to pull up an article. We're going to go figure some stuff out that I've never heard before. You want to share this? Let me share this, actually.
Before Mike does that, let me tell Carol what the fuck's going on. So here is the thing, Carol. Say I'm on LinkedIn and I post something and Brad and Mike both comment on it. Then Brad and Mike, my article is going to be shown to a wider audience because, of second connections of Brad and Mike. So there's an app out there called LemPod. And basically, people sign up to it and they randomly comment, randomly like your LinkedIn post. But they're real people. So it's real people that sign up for it. So that's what the random comments are. And it fucking makes your post go viral. You
know what's interesting on that note, Craig? I just pulled up, if you want to share the screen, your guide to LinkedIn engagement pods, okay? And what's really interesting is that back, I would say 20... I don't even know, 15, 16, 17, we were and I mean switch that back over there because I think this is what you were talking about was linked pods, right? Like the engagement pods, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we did a test with, what the freak? The commenting software that Google was a part of that was part of the social data hub, Discuss, which is very similar to the way these engagement pods work. And Google actually does have algorithms that address these things. And when we did this testing, we were able to pull up groups of 5 or 6 blogs that were on TLDs, websites, by everyone coming into one article and commenting through their profile into that one article's comment section, and then through the edges and the engagement structure, that backlink structure, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Everyone moved up for the same queries. And so the concept works very well almost everywhere. We do it on LinkedIn, or not LinkedIn, I'm sorry, on Etsy and shit like that, right?
Yeah.
And so how has it been working for you? Because I don't do anything on LinkedIn. I probably should have a long time ago, but I don't.
So the comments on it are absolutely horrendous, but you can customize those comments. However, I was just playing around with it, and I played with it for about 2 weeks. And one post was viewed by 35,000 different people. So to say it works is an understatement.
So it's like my TikTok when I post cats.
Yeah, something like that. However, I've had a lot of people like Carol saying, Craig, what the fuck is the comments on your LinkedIn? So I need to customize that bit, but I was testing and it does work very well. I just need to make it better.
So what are your thoughts is if you were trying to manipulate a platform and you were to create a tier 2 profile there and throw that on a profile underneath your profile? And I say that not because I'm telling people to go out and do that for LinkedIn unless there's a reason for you to do it, like to build up a group or something like that. But in websites like Etsy and other sites that have a profile structure, that's all crawl budget. That's all internal linking structure that is created when you connect all of this. And I want to point that out to people because we're going to talk about topic clusters. And what I'll do is I'm going to bring up search engine. Let's see, what is this? The role of topics or content groups in search. Content groups in search, I think, is the one. We'll see. Search engine journal. And so when we're talking about that there it is. And we're talking about this on like LinkedIn. We're talking about what they have over here, which is topic clusters, your most powerful SEO weapon. What I wanted to point out here was the way the bot actually works and what the mechanism looks like. And so when we talk about clusters and shit, and then we think about like LinkedIn comments, when you post a LinkedIn comment, let's go see a LinkedIn comment. That's the blog. Let's see if we can find something. Is there a comment structure that comes over here at all? No. Okay. I probably should log in, but it's going to be pretty bad. So is there something I can find your shit with, Craig, so we can look at it?
Yeah,
just you.
Just put in.
No, you're not there, bro.
They deleted him for all the spam.
Exactly. There you go. You're a trainer. Hey, trainer.
Microsoft.
You're Megan trainer.
Spam. Anyway, he's all.
Can I connect with you? I'm gonna follow you, buddy. We're connected. Oh yay. So, okay, where's the comment? Like here?
Go down a bit under activity. Up.
All right.
We'll click on some random post that's got a few reactions, and you'll see the state of the comments.
That's too new, I think, because nobody cares about. Let's see, what the fuck did I just do, guys?
The one before.
There we go. There we go. Now I understand. Now I'm learning, dude. There we go. Reactions.
Right. So.
Okay, cool. So right here is what I want to show. Okay, so here's a tiered structure, right? Here's a tiered linking structure. You've got a page that links to a page here that also links over to your profile. And there are situations where this becomes very beneficial to understand the way that the bot works and crawls, because you can start to think of profiles, right? We talked at the event about profile-based SEO, and that's kind of where we're at in SEO right now. It's based on profiles. So if we have a bunch of followers that are on Facebook or on a different social media platform, and they are all people that are in the same market as what we're promoting, and we start to build that and craft those friends in that way, we are actually starting to craft clusters the way that the bot actually sees them. So we've got the crawler that's actually going out and finding these pages and starting to classify, and then the clusterizer's doing kind of like bookmarking and things like this. So when you pull that together, what we have here is we've got a page, like if we look at, where is it? Is it this one? No, it was this one. So like we look at this share right here, right? We've got a page that is a part of multiple clusters, right? So like what kind of clusters might this page be a part of in the audience? Like, do some critical thinking, put your American baseball cap on, take off your black hat and start thinking. Don't put the UK or the Scottish flag hat on. Is there a Scottish flag, bro?
Yeah.
Like a rag?
Come on, man.
Just kidding, brother. I love you. So realistically,
Braveheart on it, doesn't it?
It does. Braveheart's on there, and he's doing a dance. Yeah. So we have something here that we have a page that is a part of a couple clusters that we know. We know that it's a part of a group of social pages. That's a cluster. And we also know that it is a page that's about SEO as well, because Craig, you are an SEO. You have a page here that's SEO. It links to another page that's an SEO. And if you weren't just spamming with this thing, you would have these SEOs commenting on it, right? So let's go look at a random person and see what that social media, that's a pretty topical fucking page, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
They will all come from a pod who are full of digital marketers. So everyone will be super, super relevant and a real human being, by the way.
It's interesting. And I think if we jump back over to, let's go to the role. This is an older article, but let's just kind of look at what the crawler does. So the crawler fetches the DNS info. This is part of the algorithm. They start looking at DNS info and is this a subdomain? Is this blah, blah, blah? This is where we can start to see some of those filters start to kind of come together. It either goes and crawls like in an ongoing basis, or it will increment and come back and do segments of your site. And then it will actually classify for the clusterizer in the bot, right? And so the clusterizer then comes in and it continues to like build out those clusters. So as those are classified, it kind of assigns it. So when it hits a page like this right here, Shift the Ocean Marketing, it starts to crawl from here. And then if we get into wherever the page is that shows where she's commenting or where her activity is, let's see what we've got here. Activity, can we find Craig in her activity here? Yeah, right. So, and now it's crawling through her profile into her activity, and then it's going to find Craig's thing where she commented because it's in her activity, and it's going to get over to the post that he made. It's going to get over to his profile, and now those pages are being classified by that crawler. And then as the cluster grows and they start to understand it more, then it becomes what's called like a mature cluster. Basically, they understand it and they can come back in and they can start making decisions like going into things like Hilltop for link building and all these various things that we take advantage of on a daily basis in SEO. It's kind of how it starts to make the decisions. And then it feeds it into the, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I just coughed there, man.
Oh, my bad. You still coughing, huh? So like primary cluster, twitter.com belongs to a social cluster. Secondary cluster is LinkedIn is a subcluster belonging to a job cluster inside that primary social cluster, right? And then you can go into this different type of intent and different type of topic is what we're going to end up talking today. But then the publisher basically comes and it approves everything and then it filters things and that's what comes out as a search result essentially is what a cluster is. And so that leads us into from social clusters into like what topic clusters are and why they're our most important SEO weapon. Well, let's ask the question, is it our most important SEO, our most powerful SEO weapon, guys? I don't know.
It's up there.
What do you think, Craig?
Well, it's certainly an important part of it now. I think, just the way Google went, of course, it's got to be. It's just the way that the crawl, as you've said there, the crawlers, the bots, and everything, the way everything works, you have to, take this seriously. Otherwise, you're missing a massive trick. So, I think the days of just ramming stuff out there for the sheer hell of it and sheer volume without really thinking about what you're doing is not the right way forward.
Yeah, no, I think that what people are, I think some of the people are missing right now is that authority is built this way too. Like topical authority is built by touching on the keyword clusters and then and some of the groupings. And, a lot of people do pull the NLP, they use APIs and they try to build out off of this, which is definitely fine for the beginning of a build. But at some point, you really should be letting Google determine what you're doing and using their data. And so with our link building and with our network management, that's kind of what we've built into all of it. And I know that you've been doing the same stuff. We've been looking and testing this for a while. And I mean, longer than, it seems recently, doesn't it, that people started posting these like, these publishing like the content velocity shit over the last 6 months where they're like, hey, look at this, I have this big uptick and blah, 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 blah. Like it was after December 2020 and it was during while we're seeing all these people that are doing that lose traffic because they're addressing one piece of this instead of all of it at the same time. It's not that long since that whole Facebook kind of like meme started. Was it like, when do you think that was?
I mean, it's certainly just been since, the last couple of updates. And I think, I'm not sure if it was when I've started seeing it, was it not December 19 going into 20 when that
That's
big
when I think that some of the major stuff happened was 2020 for sure. It was December. And then I think that I started seeing the posts on like Signals Lab and various like groups on Facebook, because I kind of feed them into the feed. I think I saw them starting like a month or two ago, maybe after Corey jumped on with Diggity and did the interview about his case study where he was talking about ranking without linking and all that, and discussing that. We can't say that that's really what was going on. It wasn't ranking without linking, but there was a lot of authority in there when it came to the topic clusters and things like that. And I think that's where I started seeing that meme start to happen. But I really feel like that switch was made 2 years ago, essentially. Yeah, like 2019 is like basically is when I really started seeing the switch. But Brad, I think we've been doing this for how fucking long now?
Since the Mininet stuff. So what was that, 2015, 2016?
Yeah, 2015, I think, is when we really made the switch in our SEO to what's going on and working.
That's when we really started hubbing quite a bit more.
Yeah.
Find that process. So hubbing is clustering, essentially. Clustering, I would say that's a more refined version of hubbing, but yeah, it's all basically the same.
Yeah, it's definitely more refined. And I think what people don't realize is they're focusing on, I don't even know what this article says. So let's look at, I think people are focusing too much on the fact of they're focusing on page. So I'm going to scan this. If you want to show Google that your web pages are both relevant and more authoritative, topic clusters are the way to go. Blah, blah, blah. They no longer look for keywords on web, just look for keywords. It looks for synonyms, subtopics, and common answers. Topic clusters becoming a bigger part of SEO. Google, your website has industry expertise. Yes, it's all true. Although building topic clusters on your website takes time. No, it doesn't. It can help you display topical authority in Google's eyes. What are topic clusters? Topic cluster content explores a broad subject in detail, blah, blah, blah. Every topic cluster is built around a pillar piece, maybe. The accompanying cluster content explores subtopics or common questions. Let's look at a more specific. Say your company is resume and writing services. Your pillar piece could be optimized for writing services. Under that long form, we've got executive resume writing service, professional CV writing service. I think they're doing a disservice by focusing on the volume right there completely. In terms of subject matter, these pieces still fall under the larger umbrella of resume writing services, and CV could be one. Topic cluster of a website will be determined by the total products and services the brand has to offer. The same resume business could add another content cluster around resume templates. Why embrace this? Because we don't have DA, so topic clusters help you rank for less competitive keywords. SEO goals of top cluster: gain search traffic, elevate performance of the pillar content, and build credibility in topic areas. So an expert, how topic clusters help Google understand. The reality is most brands have more than one area of expertise. Let's look at a website for HR software. Above is an example of a page that is targeting a high-value keyword: recruiting software. All right, there's its stats. Most likely the brand's ultimate goal with the pillar content is to earn page one rankings. Result, the pillar content is comprehensive. The supporting content explores the related subtopics in more detail. Because of all the content centered on recruiting, Google knows that it is about that, and it has, basically they're saying it's looking at the topics that are covered by either the single piece of content or linking pieces of content, because they don't necessarily have to be one or the other or separated, which is kind of where people are getting confused on what an actual keyword cluster is or whatever.
What is an actual keyword cluster then, Mike?
It's a group of phrases, or it's a group of keywords that should be together in a cluster, is what it should be. Now,
does that all have to be on the same page? Can it be separate pages? Can it be either or?
Either or. It's dependent on what you are being told by Google. Go ahead.
Do you think people overcomplicate what this is?
Yeah.
Because there's so many people that always go on, what was that shit this person was saying about clustering? I find it fairly straightforward and simple.
It is, man. It's
overcomplicate it.
Like there's just various ways to to do this, the easiest way for me and the most effective way is to literally just let Google tell you what you should do, and have your research done ahead of time. I mean, using something, I was talking to Michael Suski from Surfer last week. We were talking about some stuff that he's doing that Brad and I have been doing, you've been doing, Craig, that he reached out to us for, like, to talk about and kind of go over some stuff that he's testing. And it's a tool that I think makes development of networks and development of content, like groupings or single pages, just very quick and easy until you want to go in and do like deeper analysis and deeper optimization, like in your phase 2 and 3, right? Yeah. And that is because it's a topical NLP tool. And when you get an NLP tool and you're just using an NLP tool or something that's just pulling off of an API or something like that, you're got a good starting skeleton. It's like, Brad, do you remember when we would all rank with just like a silo structure of URLs from like that video plugin that Network Empire did, and you could just literally make a URL structure with no content and rank?
Yeah, vSilo, just pulling a YouTube video. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. It's like you can look at
back in the day. It was awesome because Becker put out like training or whatever.
Yeah, dude, I remember that shit.
Used the shit out of it. So you would buy 2 sites. One was the EMD. On the EMD, you had an image that was your exact match keyword. You had a video if you wanted it. You had like 1 sentence and a title, and of course it's in the domain name. So you set that up. Same day, you go out and buy a PR4 and set that up exactly the same and just link it over, and you fucking rank in like 2 days. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, and it's funny because you can do similar things with just simple, like the content type hacks, where it's like, okay, I want to go rank for, I don't know, let's see, we want to rank for topic cluster.
I mean, if you want easy clusters, just build out your primary piece of content and then find every single fucking question you can on the subject and pop all those up and link them back to your primary. And you've got
like something like that, right? I just got a piece of content that will rank for that will at least start me ranking for the terms that I want to rank for, right?
Yeah.
And what I can do at that point is we can go down and we can then go like this and take the next piece of content in the topic cluster right here.
Then you've
and
got
now
AA stuff if you want them.
Yeah, you have all of that. So now we've got 2 pieces of content talking in like 5 seconds that are going to rank for or going to gain visibility for keywords that I want to start to kind of gain visibility for. And then I can go back in and I can start to optimize that content and see where it fits in once Google tells me what I should do. Because that's where you should be pulling your data, is from Google. You should use them, and that's what you should be doing. So like if we look at something like CraigCampbell.com, and we want to just do a general check for YouTube optimization or something, we start to see like what the clusters that Google is recognizing, and people will start to debate this with me, like, well, this isn't the same algorithm, it's sorted differently. And
why
what I will say
debate with you, Mike, ever? I don't know.
Right? Everyone debates with me, baby.
Yeah.
But if I wanted to come in and optimize for this is where I'm going to start looking at on my site, right? If I was Craig, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start looking at this, and I'm also going to start looking at things like when it comes to my link building, because what we were talking about is, and starting to talk before I went on this tangent, is that this ties into your off page as well. And if you don't understand that and you're building clusters and you're just focusing on your content, then you're probably doing your link building incorrectly as well. Yeah. And so if you're out there,
Kevin's saying here, if you want to address it, Mike,
yeah,
just know that you don't need fantastic content writers. You just need the right content, I guess. So yes and no, Kevin.
I feel a lot of this boils down to having the right people writing content. The days of stuffing primary and a couple secondary keywords are done. You need writers to know the industry and jargon. You don't. I mean,
from a pure ranking perspective, you do not. From a conversion perspective, yes.
Mm-hmm. That's the difference, exactly. And that's kind of what, like, the way we do our content, whether it's on page or off page, is it's going to go up depending on like if it's a network. If it's a network, it's going to go up, and it potentially just might be built out in some AI or scrape, and it might just be paraphrased or spun or something like that initially. If it's a client, then it's going to be paraphrased rather than just smashed up or scraped, unless it's like a curation wrap-up post or something like that. But the point is that optimization is a phase-based thing, right, Kevin? So you might want to have like 2 levels of writers. Like we do have this on a lot of our businesses, is 2 levels of writers. Someone that does the initial content, because I will say people are having a ton of problems with AI content and this kind of auto generation because they don't have the right SOPs. So people are actually in a lot of ways better off hiring a writer that's even like English as a second language or from a country that's not the actual English speaking country that they're targeting, and then using that and then coming back in and editing, because Google expects growth on the site anyways. And we're all told, hey, you got to update your content. Freshness is good, but there's got to be freshness for a reason, right? So leave room for freshness. And that could easily be, just updating and making the content better than it was rather than anything else, right? And so I like this next one that Kevin says, if we want to pull that up.
Kevin McGuire.
Yeah, that's true. You have to know the industry to write about it, typically. I mean,
I prefer hiring people that don't have training, because I find most of them do it wrong. Is kind of where I feel what I've seen over the last 21 years is it's better usually to get somebody fresh and train them properly rather than trying to kind of kick the bad habits out of them.
Do you mean trained in the industry or trained in writing for SEO?
I mean what we're talking about here, that they will include NLP entities, etc. I know what you mean about the industry. However, those are the things, the NLP, the entity, those are the easy things to SOP and automate into like a brief or something for your writers. I do not think it's necessary. It does become easier and you'll get better content initially, but my opinion is that I think it does a better job when someone is not super familiar with at least SEO. If they're going to be doing conversion-based content, I will agree with you. If it is content to just go out and rank and then come back in, I don't see it the same way. What are your thoughts, Craig?
I don't even know what you just asked.
So like this content thing here, people that know the industry writing your content versus people that don't know the industry, or for writing SEO content, people that know SEO or people that don't know SEO for optimizing content or getting content written initially.
I think these days you have to kind of understand SEO to write the most effective content, or understand the industry. Of course, it's going to help because there's certain terminology which will turn out to be semantically related keywords and everything else that are just going to help you make better content with different variations of keywords and everything else. So I think regardless of what industry you're in, Google is clever enough to be able to piece those different entities and those semantically related keywords and everything else all together to give you a leg up. So I think that it's massively important that you do understand it all and also understand your industry. It cannot have a negative impact at all.
So I would suggest that the way a campaign should start with customer journey research and segmenting your pages and your keywords into profiles and avatars handles a lot of that, and then the AI can actually pull out, like if you write your content right, or if you write your scripts right, or if you use some of the free tools that are out there to analyze things, you can pull these kind of topical, like industry specific things out of existing content that's already performing well in search. And so that's kind of why I think I differ with that opinion, is that I see this as part of the thing that can easily be assisted for somebody that I train specifically to do content in a manner that I want for what I'm doing for my business, rather than grabbing someone already trained. So I guess that's the only difference I have there. I get it. It's a very valid argument. It's a very valid statement, Kevin. Brad, what are your thoughts, dude?
I think if you start with a solid content writer, they're going to have to learn the industry, and they're going to catch up eventually. Like we've got new content writers on a new campaign, and it's clear that they don't know the industry. So they anyone that has industry experience specifically to the topic that they're writing is going to have a huge head start. Is it completely necessary? No. I think it might in the long run limit them, because they're only going to want to write about this certain topics. And at a certain point, they're going to say, well, that's not relevant. This isn't relevant, where they don't understand SEO relevance. So I think they might put themselves in a box in relatively short order. So that might be one benefit of having someone, a new decent copywriter come in, not necessarily trained in SEO or anything, but you show them how to use cognitive or what have you, and they can write a very good SEO content piece with just that. Have them come in, learn the industry. There is going to be a learning curve. It is going to take longer for them to kind of understand what to put on there, but in the long run, that might be more beneficial. So I think both sides are correct, like you said.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the relevance thing that you said is really important to understand. That I think a lot of people right now are having issues understanding what relevance is, what topical relevance is.
Perspective, right? Because I mean, we've had clients, and they've bludgeoned us for to send them a link report, even though we don't typically like to send link reports for SEO clients. Okay, we'll send it to you. So we send it over, and they pick out like the two links that don't look relevant. Why the hell did you get links on these?
And they're the ones that are the most beneficial usually.
Your site's pushing like a motherfucker. Why are you complaining? Well, we're going to have to stop the contract. Okay. So it's understanding, right? Well, how is this business directory or this business blog relevant to my 3D printer website? How is it not?
Well, gee, maybe it links out to like 3 of the top ranked 3D printing companies, and now it's a fucking hilltop situation, right? And it's an expertise and authority situation. I think that people really do get stuck on. I had like 2 or 3 people yesterday talk about title and URL for their backlink profiles, right? That they're having people approve like title and URL. And traffic on the domain and this and that. And they have all these metrics that they're asking for all the time, no matter what. And unfortunately, there's I can think of many issues. I can think of one particular, like in the last 30 days that had 100% increase in revenue, where that wouldn't have done it. It had to be actually what looks like complete trash and completely non-relevant links.
It's like me.
But what's that?
It's like me, complete trash and not relevant.
Exactly, dude. Complete trash and not relevant. And that's what, when we're doing link, it's funny, like we're working on like redesigning link audits right now, because, Craig and I and Brad, we've been talking about like helping people like figure out what they're doing wrong with their linking and what they can do better so that they can save budget on their linking. And people are like, why are you talking about clusters and topic clusters when you're sending these audits or you're looking at these backlinks? And I think that it's really telling that people don't make the connection between what we're talking about on site with topic clusters and what's going off page with clustering, essentially. And so if you haven't read this article that's on Search Engine Journal, I would really recommend everybody read this one, the one that is content group search intent. And I'll drop it in the comments, and maybe Craig can post it at some point. But this is a really, I can't comment here. Never mind. We'll get it in the description. It's an important article to read, to understand it, because when you start to understand how that crawl works and how crawl budget works and how it moves around and classifies crap, then you understand how that off page ties directly into what your topic cluster is doing on page. And then you just kind of take it from there and research what real quality is and what real relevance is, and kind of have a key that can move you forward without relying on some of the marketplaces out there that kind of just go off of like, okay, here's what, this is all based on DR, or it's all based on traffic. It's all based on title match. It's all based on URL match. It's not always what you need. There's so many things that you should be looking at when you are linking a campaign.
Number one thing though, do you base it on? Do you look at topical trust flow? What do you look at, Mike?
I mean, if I look at the dampen, honestly, I crawl the websites that are going to be linking, and I see the quality of the website, like from a real actual standpoint of like what the dampening factors of that site might be. And I said it in a talk recently that if we had the same link, but I have 404s on my site pointing at that link, and you don't, and I have no alt tags on that page, and you do, then there's a good chance that link is going to be more beneficial and flow more of a percent of that page rank than mine, in a general kind of mashed up way. So there are a bunch of quality factors to look at if you're doing it yourself. And then there are particular situations, like a penguin situation. When a penguin situation is there, then you're looking at something completely different. What do you think about the school of thought that says you should write content on relevant entities? Even, yeah, absolutely, dude. I don't care about the context vector part, but I will tell you right now, I have seen, we've had situations where staff has made mistakes and they've been filtering out certain things because they were thinking it. And this is why I talked about content writers and training people myself rather than trying to fix habits. They were filtering certain things out that like people are told in the industry to filter out, which it's when you understand it and then you see it and you go fix it and see the traffic increase that comes from fixing things like this, like including something that that doesn't have volume in the tools. You'll kind of find sometimes that these fucking things actually have volume on your site when you're looking at your analytics, but they're never going to come through a tool. It's never going to be seen. And you'd be very surprised when you start looking at the AI assistants and how they're doing the chatbot flows with like Google AI and how they're doing Alexa chatbot flows on these devices, like the kind of queries that are coming out that you're never going to find elsewhere. And so as they're in the transformer match phase right now, like we are literally in a space where they are using a transformer to match words, and you can actually train that transformer to recognize entities together. You no longer can just go out and research what's going on like in the past. You have to use current data if you want to stay ahead of people. And so it's good when everyone stays on NLP APIs and tools that are not, updated to the moment with what you're doing in your campaign. Because if they're not looking at it, then they're leaving money on the table that you can sneak around and take from them. And so as we've kind of like put together what we're doing for some of the students and some of the community stuff that we're trying to get to the people that are cash flow people, like that's the kind of thing that I think people need to be taking into consideration in all parts of their campaigns, their link building and their content. So. Have 15 related pages that are on page optimized using phrase keyword Cupid. All are sitting at position 9 to 20 of search. Will be buying 30 to 40 topically relevant niche edits. Where do these backlinks link to? Do you know you need those 30 to 40? Because that's my question. It's like, so what made you decide you needed niche edits and you couldn't start somewhere else? I want an answer, Glenn.
And where does the figure come from is also the next question. Why 30 to 40?
Exactly.
Because that is a fair amount.
It is a fair amount, and depending where you're buying it, it can be a significant amount of money too. We have not moved up using on-page SEO. Okay, so you haven't moved up using on-page SEO.
I would ask
what I would do. How long has it been? But also, are you sure that you've done the on-page the way you should? And if you have, then have you looked at really what is needed in the backlink profile there, rather than going straight to purchasing niche edits because they're the highest quality link you can purchase? It might not be exactly what you need to start with.
I wouldn't base it on budget, Glenn. I would base it on what I need and save budget if I can.
So
like Mike said, go out in the industry, see what's needed, see what others are doing, get, probably more than that.
What link building tool do you use for your link research, Glenn? How do you look at backlinks, your backlink profile?
Who, me?
Oh, I'm asking Glenn, but...
Oh, Glenn. I thought you were talking to me. 40 is a budget figure we have. Obviously.
Okay, so you've got budget for 30 or 40 niche edits. I would take a look at what's going on in the SERP directly and what's being done by your competitors. Make sure you're matched on page, and make sure there's nothing that you can do better than them on page first before you actually jump off. I'm going to assume that you did that. SEMrush, you can go in and you can do link intersect stuff, man. Go look for some intersecting links and see if you can place some of that shit first. Seriously, save the budget and go see what you can place that's already in the link graph, because you're going to go out. Here's the thing. You can go out and buy new links that are outside of your link graph for your query, and it will eventually start to help you. But your biggest wins are going to be when you go and you insert yourself into the link graph for that query. And you need to use research and data to do that properly. And that's what we put together too, is some stuff to do that for you. But you can do that in SEMrush. You can do that in Ahrefs. You can do that in Majestic. You can do that in link research tools. Like, you want to go out and aggregate all that data. Like, if it was me, I would go out, I'd grab the data from all of the tools that I have access to, and I'd look at everything and I'd kind of compare and do some VLOOKUPs to what's similar across everything with all the data, and see where those quick links are, or those places are that you can go out and get links from directly. Like, you might find some Hilltop type stuff where you're going to be finding, like, there's some hubs that you need to be in, and you're not going to get them if you go by a niche edit, right? So you could get some really good links and it could help you move up, but you also might miss something you absolutely need in your profile that you're not aware of. And then you don't have it, so now you're at a disadvantage compared to your competitors in that SERP, if that makes sense. Is that clear? All right.
Should be.
I got some questions. Let's see. If there are questions, keep asking. And Glenn, if you have anything you want us to go back to and say, let me know. There's a job for you here, Craig. It says you can be my my favorite little guy. Hello, everybody. I'm going to start doing manual outreach. Hopefully get some sites to exchange old and outdated links to my site instead. But I'm a bit unsure which opportunities to focus on. Let's take 2 examples to explain what I mean. On one hand, a site with high DR and 7,000 traffic each month. The specific page linking to my site, however, does not rank for any keywords or receive any traffic. I'm going to assume also that it's not in the navigation and it's not in the site. It's not in a solid cluster. On the other hand, a site with medium DR, 700 traffic per month, but the page itself ranks pretty well and gets traffic. In your experience, which of these would give the most benefit? Edit. The page that does not rank for any keywords probably does not have any referring domains. That's a big key to that specific page. But since it's a strong domain with high DR, it has a lot of referring domains on a higher level. Okay, so there's a bunch there. Does anyone have input? Craig, like, do you have a thought on this at all, or Brad?
I think for me, I was going to say, people are obsessed with this fucking DR shit and traffic. There's more to analyze the link than the DR and the traffic. You know, one, I would want something that was super relevant. I would want that page to, you know, in particular, to rank well. You know, and you know, you've got to look at a number of other things. Are Google looking at other things? Number of outbound links and all that kind of stuff. You know, how much value is actually being passed. So it's not about the DR or the amount of traffic the domain itself gets. You know, I'd rather take something less DR and even less traffic as long as it was ranking well. You know,
absolutely. And also, like, if we think about it, he said that, okay, so there's a bunch of RD, like, say at the home page, right? I'm assuming he's meaning that there's like some pages that are focused. It's like a centralized site or something where the PR is focused on the homepage and a couple other pages, and then he can get a
rate is high, just not that specific.
Right.
Yeah.
So the question I would start asking for people out there would be like, okay, if that's the case, this page that has nothing on it, is it in a navigation structure that takes benefit from the DR and the RD to these pages that are out there? And do those link to this page that you can get a link from? And if not, then yeah, dude, what Craig said, absolutely where we want to go. You have the RD as your tier 2 that way, right? So you've got your site when you've got this link with 700 visitors a month, but then there's a whole bunch of RD pointing right there. So now what you've done is you've done what edits are really awesome for, is you've gotten a tiered link that you don't have to go out and freaking tier. You don't have to go out and run a tool at. You don't have to go out and buy a bunch of links there. You can do this. This is the gang sign for tiered linking. It's like this. Tiered linking. There you go. That's the Scottish one. And so that tier 2, like if you can get a link from a page that has a bunch of RD at it, and that's a solid page with traffic and rankings, that's a huge indicator. And I'm not saying that it's go look for the rankings and look for the traffic. Like you might want to also find some things that we talked about that have the RD as well, the referring domains. And so that one, I think in that case, it's pretty straightforward. I agree with Craig that, hey, you want to take the freaking link that has the lower traffic. And let's see what people said to that. So a page with traffic that is relevant and sends you traffic is the best, but often that is not possible. I'd look for relevance in any way and for real sites with an audience. Generally, there aren't that many opportunities though, and if you do the outreach yourself, I would just focus on every available link opportunity. I was never able to send out more than 400 to 500 emails. So they're talking about very white hat strategies that I'm not going to sit here and recommend to people ever, unless the opportunity just is thrown in your freaking lap.
If I ever do manual outreach, I'm going to buy a rope at the same time, just in case, because I know I'm going to want to
kill yourself
to jump off the balcony. Yeah,
exactly. There's another answer. It says the more relevant it is to your niche, the better it is. It's kind of a jacked up answer because what is relevance, right?
Philosophical.
No, but really, what is relevance, dude? Like, how do you determine what relevance is?
What is quality?
Right? Yeah. Right. No, that's my point. It's like if I'm selling here's the thing. If I'm selling solar panels and there is a freaking highly ranked page on a website that is like 5 things preppers and survivalists forget, and that's the name of the title and the URL, that doesn't look relevant to people, but that's fucking relevant if there is a fucking thing that says they don't know how to service their solar panels when there isn't a handyman that can come over. Is that a relevant link or is it not relevant? You only have like one sentence there or potentially a paragraph that might have something to do with your domain. Is that a good link or not?
I mean, I could very well see how a prepper site would be relevant to solar, but yeah.
You also need to understand that relevance to a machine like Google, which is exactly what it is, you can manipulate that and tell Google what it is. So that is the way you need to see it. It's not a human being where you can argue back and forth. Yeah, no, that is relevant, blah, 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 blah. You show it to be relevant. Yeah, exactly.
There's a very specific way that they determine relevance on a link, and it can be done without the title and URL, like very easily. And they will always do it that way because an article on a survivalist website that talks about skills that someone needs to build because there is not a handyman or an HVAC person or someone to fix your solar is extremely relevant, especially if there's a clever person on that solar site that has talked about how to service your solar after you have it installed. You have a very, very relevant thing. It's like Revenge of the Mininet. How can a poster site be relevant to a car site or an SEO site or a site that talks about cameras or a site that talks about video games? Like that poster site can be relevant to every single one of those sites. I'm going to go out and say that barring getting into like, I want adult links and throwing all these other things, any link can be relevant to it. Any page can be relevant to another page. So that means that a link can be relevant if you do it properly and you do it correctly. So I challenge people out there to go find out what correct is. We've talked about some of it today, and you can find it. It's all right there. And I would say look for quality, like what makes a quality page? What are some of the things that Google looks at to determine authority and expertise? And when you start to look at it from that angle, like don't worry about the relevance, make the relevance, build the relevance. It doesn't matter. You can build the relevance. You can train the transformer at this point. You can literally associate. We did it on this video stream, man. We did it with Black Hat SEO at one point. We had some new queries that I was testing in that had never been there before, and we were able to associate the channel with certain things because the bots went there. Like if you put shit together and it makes sense and they reinforce it with their other math, then you are making relevance and you are training BERT essentially and the other transformer shit. You're training the algorithms that way, and it's very possible to do. So I think people are overthinking their link building and they're underthinking it at the same time. But that's my rant today.
Got any other questions, Mike?
Yeah, I do.
Do it.
Nah, I'm gonna look at your pretty face.
You gotta get one first.
Let's see. There we go. This is a good one. I don't know. It says broad keywords in navigation. Seems like a dumb question to post here, but can't seem to find a definitive answer. Does anyone have any case studies of sites that use broad keywords in their navigation versus niche ones? Working for a client that are trying to reinvent the wheel and don't want to use broad keywords as they are more than that. Instead of currency conversion, they want exotic currency leverage. IMV4 keyword difficulty, blah, 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 to make it make sense, to widen the net and then close it with deeper internal linking. Okay, of course, I'm going to say exotic currency leverage. I've never heard of it before. I don't think there's a reason to use something like ridiculous in your navigation. What do you guys thought about the keyword exotic currency leverage for currency conversion?
I would probably keep it broad and have a girthy article about.
Yep. You love girth.
You like that term?
I do. I'm having that one. A girthy article.
A girthy article. Let's rank
what's
article SEO.
Girthy. So if you look at it, what about you, Craig? Like broad, like specific navigation, like what are your thoughts, dude?
It depends on whether you're a local business or you know, the answer is going to be depends. But if you are in my position, for example, where my audience can come from anywhere, whether it's China, whether it's America, it really doesn't matter, then I think you would have to go broad in the navigation and then, have other stuff to tie into that. But I think you'd have to go broad at that point. I wouldn't like to tie myself into SEO Glasgow or anything like that, so I think you have to go broad depending on your audience. But again, if you're a kind of local person, then you're probably going to go a bit more specific. So I don't think there's a right answer to this.
Yeah, I think what it really comes down to is if you're trying to, rank a category on an e-commerce website that contains like teething toys or baby clutching stuff, or stacking blocks for children, toys for kids, and you have a navigation that is like toys, and then you go down into different broad categories underneath that, that's probably the way to go there. If you offer
don't want to be too over optimized in my site-wide anchor text either.
Exactly.
That's something I try and avoid. So I would go with a girthier anchor text.
Well, and just let's take it back to the topical clusters. If we're talking about a topical cluster, a category that is toys that has subtopics underneath it and it's multiple URLs,
girthy toys,
why would we throw that out of whack?
Yeah.
I mean, we wouldn't, because now what we have is we've got a toy section or whatever, then we've got these other subcategories, and those also can become a network. We have a site on the subcategories, one on each subcategory, or then one on the secondary or tertiary categories, right? And then our link building can follow the same plan. And we can start to create these clusters on and off page that are helping us rank instead of trying to go and target specific exact match phrase per page. It's kind of like throwing on schema too early and kind of shooting yourself in the foot by locking yourself out of like broad visibility. I see it the same way. Your navigation is like one of the biggest ways you can pass PageRank. So the decision should basically be made on like, what topic do I need to pass this PageRank for? If it's a broad thing, then do it. If it's one service and local, like Craig said, then you might want to get more specific because it's the only freaking thing that you do. So why would you go broad at that point?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, even for a local site, I'm probably going to have the homepage or the primary page on the site that is focusing on, you know, HVAC contractors, and then all the sub page are still going to be relatively broad, but they're going to be based around like the different services that point back up to the HVAC. Like, what does an HVAC guy do? AC repair, furnace repair, shit like that is going to be what my internal pages are. So from a linking standpoint from the primary nav, it's still going to be I'm going to still use broad match. I'm going to do AC repair, you know, furnace repair, whatever. I've never done HVAC for people, but just going off of, you know,
no, absolutely. If you have services that you need to cover, they need to be grouped, and people call them silos, whatever you want to call them, categories, silos, doesn't really matter to me.
I'm not going to put in the primary nav, I'm not going to put Greensboro AC repair, Greensboro air conditioning, Greensboro furnace repair. I'm not going to do that. I'm still going to have a broad. So from that perspective, I would say broad at a local and a national level.
Yeah, I think that broad, it just becomes like more specific or less specific, less broad or more broad, right? It should be the top level of what you're trying to pass the page rank for is what is kind of how I'm going to say it.
I was walking through the grocery store yesterday. I took a picture because I knew I enjoyed the oatmeal, but I'm sure someone else will. So it says oatmeal, thick and rough. I said, I like my oatmeal like I like my women, thick and rough. Took a picture.
I love it, dude. I love it. Thoughts on meta and how that is.
Look like Dumb and Dumber, you know, where he's like got the paddle thing, and he like puts it down and gets his wallet stuck. That's what it looked like me trying to take this picture because I had shit in my arms. I was like trying to take a picture of that thick and rough oatmeal. But anyway, sorry, I just
thick and rough is good because that's a broad match to a lot of different things, you know, and you've got to craft it properly.
That could be women, that could be men. It could go, you know.
It could be a road, bro.
It could be thick and rough.
It could be a thick road and rough.
It could be a walking trail, a river, you know, a lot of things. So
I think if you are really trying to do something if you're kind of building your entity and you're trying to associate your brand with things, I don't think it's necessarily too soon. I think that if you get into a page before you understand how that page is going to respond to what you did with your content and your linking, and you throw schema on for specific specification of terms, that from what I see, you start locking yourself out of broader match terms that might come in.
The problem is when they take their schema and they get too narrow and put too much into it, then you lock yourself, like Mike said, into this very small box where you want to rank for as many terms as you can. Where if you niche down your schema too much, we've seen Google will not rank you for X, Y, and Z. You know, so
yeah, exactly. And so I would get visibility before I make it at least a phase 2 type thing that your content's already up. What we do is we go and we put content up, even if it's client lead gen. We put content up, we link, we get. The site's always getting a certain process, and then the content gets a certain process. And then we go back and look at what the content has done with our polls and our data. And then we go in and we do markup optimization and different types of optimization.
Plus schema is a pain in the ass to sit down and do. Yeah. The only person I know that likes to do it is Clint.
Clint. Yeah. Clint still does it in a phase, man. He has a process, dude. He doesn't go and throw it on right away. He does what we just talked about, because that's the process, man. It's SEO. It's an optimization process. You don't need to throw everything at it and get it perfect. It's like trying to start a business almost. You don't have to have the perfect conditions to start a business. If you never start the business, you never start the business. So get the content up, go get the links up, and then start to optimize it. You buy a link you're not happy with, pull it off, dude. If you put up content that needs to be tuned, then tune that shit up and do it. Just get it done. Don't worry about it.
Content is not indexing because someone used Quillbot.
Actually, the original one was, the way it looked, we thought it was actually not even spun. It looked like it was just complete dude. Are you positive?
No,
because
it was cool.
Okay, it was okay. Yeah. I saw a complete dude.
Someone else used the exact same article in Quillbot, and it was
Gotcha.
that's
So it was the same
so,
seed. It was the same seed as another piece of content.
What Adrian found was not the original article. He found the secondary article that someone had used Quillbot to generate the same page.
Yeah.
But I didn't hit
well, that's what I've seen with like link building. Like when people are using like networks, or there's a lot of stuff people are doing with their. I'm not addressing anyone specifically, but like they're using sites that'll be like pulling traffic from certain sources, and then they're spinning up the same content with the same seeds across dozens or hundreds of websites, and then they're pointing those URLs. You're pointing links at people. And I mean, I'm seeing that shit derate shit left and right and cause issues all over the place when people don't really understand what they're doing in that link profile. I'm not saying in general, but if you're not paying attention to the optimization of the site that you're actually doing SEO for, then if you just, like we talked about, go out, why are you buying those 40 edits? Why are you dropping? Holly's News Network can do a really great job, but if you're not paying attention, you just go buy a service and someone does what you ask them to do and you haven't done your research, you might not do the right thing. And that's not the provider's fault at that point. That is actually your fault for not optimizing it and giving the provider what they needed to give you the service that you needed, right? So
last one.
Yeah, is SEO dead in the metaverse? Yes or no, Mike?
SEO optimization is never going to be dead.
No. There'll be something.
And this is the final one. If FAQ schema on an only FAQ page could be harmful if done out of the gate for a new page, let it age up and then add it. So
I can't answer. I don't pay enough attention to schema to answer specifics about specific types of schema.
But still, I'm probably not going to throw it on right away, just from a time perspective.
I wouldn't.
But
I would not.
If you were building a new website, here is my question to you guys. If you're building a new website and you're obsessed with everything, ticking all the boxes, adding schema, it would make perfect sense to do that and add your FAQ schema at the same time. I do not see it harming you by adding it at the start.
No, you could throw it in.
It's just not part of my process because I'm a lazy fucker with schema as well. But I don't think you would be penalised in any way if you had a process where you wanted it all done.
Not penalised, but I don't know specifically. The reason I might not, I actually probably wouldn't even give a shit and I would never think about it. But if I'm sitting down and thinking about it now, today my answer would be that, do I know for sure that I haven't locked myself out of anything by putting it there first? And am I going to miss out on visibility that I could see in my stats and add to that page and then put it on? But then again, that's going to happen the next time I do it as well. So it's a chicken and egg type of thing. So I personally don't like locking down too hard in the beginning, but I also like play hard and loose with Brad. I did that. I did.
Thick and rough. Yeah. One last one from Robert, then we'll head out. The difference between a content silo, content cluster. A content cluster can be all on page, on one specific page, or it can be, multiple pages on a site. In my opinion, a content silo is going to traditionally be, split. You've got your primary page and then you've got your sub pages. So it's like
a category is what I look at silo.
Yeah. Site structure is how I would look at the silo, right? And then a categorization, they're both categorization methods. Yeah.
And
I've been waiting for this forever, man. I honestly, in the US, have been waiting for Google to require like the social security number for accounts, man. It's going to come. It doesn't matter that the thing is that all that can happen. That has nothing to do with the fact that content will have to be optimized, data will have to be evaluated, and there will have to be links from things to other things to be able to make decisions on. So
it might fuck up some GMB stuff, but
but it's not fucking up SEO. It's not fucking up information retrieval. It's not fucking up the Internet of Things. It's not fucking up the fact that I can look
at GMB SEO outside of, if you do not have your own business that's in a GMB, it's just spam. Mike and I were talking about
it is spam. It's nothing but spam.
Do you do spam or do you do SEO? There is some optimization in the GMB once you get the GMB up, but it's still, at the end of the day, it's spam. Like the lead gadget stuff we did back in the day was spam. That wasn't SEO.
Yeah,
it could be utilized in an SEO campaign, but that alone was not SEO. I've got all these rankings. Cool. You didn't do anything in regards to SEO.
Yeah, it's like throwing up lots of sites in a network that are getting like lots of traffic from places and throwing that shit out there and getting rankings. It's spam. It's not SEO. Like there's a huge difference. So like when we say SEO,
but we're not telling people not to spam.
No, it's a great tactic.
Do it, make money with it. We're not hating on it. It's two different things.
Yeah. So when you ask if it's SEO is going to be dead, no, SEO, you can do it. You will be able to do SEO for as long as you want to do SEO if you are paying attention to the way the market goes. It's not going away anytime.
But he's talking about the social media law in the UK. They're basically going to make you verify all your social media, which I think...
Yeah, they're going to do that everywhere because have you seen... I could bring up the fucking social scoring patents right now that are out there that are tied to fucking super spreaders and the fucking vaccines and shit. It's crazy what they're developing. But that's a fucking rabbit hole to go down that's not important, right? So you can go see it, just like I like to go look at shit that Google and Yahoo and all these other fuckers write. They're writing it for social credit scores as well. Like if you remember Black Mirror, that one episode where she's running around with her social score on her phone, trying to get her social score up.
Stressful Black Mirror episode ever. Yeah.
Dude, it's fucking in the, dude, like the guys we know in Australia, the G2 Now app, dude, they're told, I mean, that kind of shit is real. It's happening right now. So this is not something that won't happen, our live IRL fan. This is going to happen. There's no question that this is what will happen across the world. Eventually, you will have to validate a legitimate profile to do it. What they're doing right now, and I'm seeing it already, is they're driving more people into an underground hacker type culture where there are people slipping things. Like we know that G2 Now app where they say you have to check in for your quarantine, you have 5 minutes to check in, you have to take a selfie. We know that they're looking at your location. We also know that they're looking at the gyroscope on your fucking phone. So they know if you're moving your phone. And there are ways, and with Google trying to fucking validate faces like for GMB, you better believe we've been testing ways to fake that face. There's AI to fake my face on a video with you, right? They're driving this. This is going to continue to be built. Technology is going to come out because that's what happens. People pass laws, people pass bills, they create technology, other people try to break it. That is SEO. That's how Google got built. They made it, SEOs broke it. They fixed it, SEOs broke it again. And it's just going to keep doing this into new technology forever. It's just more security for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm ranting. Let's go.
I got to pee, so let's end this, baby.
I need to talk to Craig anyways. Thanks, everyone.
No worries,
Let's talk about conspiracy.
See you all later.
SEO conspiracy.
That's okay.